सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all who are listening this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are deliberating verses from chapter number 12, the Bhakti Yoga Dvadashodhyaya. We have been seeing this verse from last two classes. Verse number 13th, Adveshta Sarvabhutanam Maitrah Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankara Samadukha Sukhakshami. In the last class, we quietly deliberated on the idea of this Nirmama and Nirahankara. So, we also touched the Samadukha Sukhakshami, this idea also, but we will give it a little more thought, and then we will go to the next verse, and we will also, because as if this the last part of the verse that comes in the frame that comes in the phrase Samadukha Sukha Kshami, as if the next verse is the continuation of this idea or the reasoning and basis and explanation of this idea. So here these verses, starting with verse number 13th, they are explaining the nature of the devotee who is thus devoted to God, and how he will transform himself, how that transformation will appear in him. That devotion being explained from verses number 6 to until 12th. So starting with the verse Etu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha ananyena iva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. starting with this verse. So this Ananya Yoga Dhyana, this Ananya Yoga Upasana, internally and outwardly, Sarvani Karmani Mai Sanyasya and Matparaha. So, what is the nature and character of that individual becomes? What kind of individual he becomes? How does it translates and how does it transform that individual? So, it is being narrated from these verses starting with number 13. Adveshtaha sarvabhutanam. Then not only Advashta, but Maitra also, and then Karuna also. So not only there is absence of negativity, there is also positive neutrality, and then again positive sympathetic outgoing Karuna. So Adveshta, so there is, which is the absence of Dvesha, Adveshtaha, Maitraha and Karuna. All three rolled into one, into that individual, and depending upon the person whom that devotee encounters, he presents himself in this way. So, if that person shows some positivity, there is some scope of spiritual evolution of that individual, then he can be Maitra and Karuna also. But even if that is absent, so he is not having or harboring any ill feeling towards them, Adveshtaha. So you will meet different kinds of people. So world is full of these varied natures of the people. So to them he will appear in this way. Adveshtaha, Maitra and Karuna. And these ideas, then it is possible when that individual has become truly Matparaha. Yetu Sarvani Karmani. Now not only, now this idea is very interesting. So need to be given little deeper thought. So when it is said that Yetu Sarvani Karmani Mai Sanyasya, when it is said, so it is not the outward renunciation of action into God. It is not the outward behavior of it. Important is how it is coming, how it becomes possible. How it becomes possible. Unless that individual have really given up all claims to further his self-interest and only accepted that Lord Divine and His divine love as the only objective of his all initiatives, all actions, all enterprise. And this is one thing he is seeking. Like an honeybee jumping from flower to flower, it is not she is seeking the flower. What she is seeking, that nectar residing in the flower. That nectar here being comparatively, by that analogy, is that divine love, the love of the divine which is present everywhere, which is omnipresent. So bhakti is definitely rooted into this knowledge, jnana, jnana-dhishtita bhakti. So jnana here doesn't necessarily means the clamor of argument. It is not. the clamor of argument, that is not necessarily jnana. You go on talking about consciousness, Brahman and Atman. It need not be. Bhakta's language can be totally different. He taking the name of his Ishta and having different like upadhis. Especially Vishishtadvantis are very expert in this. all the upadhis of so to say the adjectives or terms which are used to denote and to point out that indivisible ultimate reality, all they like Ananta, Krishna. Okay. So Krishna is Ananta in what sense? In that sense only. So as Sri Ramakrishna, see, he is to use this phrase, he is to say this, to which Vedas call Brahman, to that same reality I call Mother, or to that same reality I call Kali. Brahman and Shakti are Abhed, etc. etc. So that is another concept, and it is a matter of again a separate deliberation that Brahman and Shakti are Abhed. But pointing it here also that these different these terms which are used to denote that reality which Vedas called Brahman, similar terms are simply assumed, adorned upon the Sagun Sakara Ishvara, meaning implying that this Sagun Sakar is indeed that Nirguna Nirakara also. So for bhakti or that jnana nishtita bhakti does not mean here it necessarily have that noise of arguments of Vedanta. It is the perception that is important. Perception meaning the sense of reality on which plane is lies, how far it is closer to the truth, that idea. So it is, if it is not intervened at all by any play of ignorance, so it would be absolute realization. Perception is absolute. Otherwise, projected through Maya, then it will become dualistic. Now, this idea, so bhakti here, bhakti yoga. So wonderful idea is bhakti is a matured practice. It has that subsumed jnana, yoga and karma, all three. Consummation of all three we find in this bhakti yoga. That jnana is absorbed there, that yoga is absorbed there, karma is also absorbed there. Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya mat paraha ananyena iva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. So when that person, so when we say that all his actions are renounced in me, what does it imply? That his actions are no more now egocentric. They are far now displaced from this ajnana and more inclined, more based on the jnana. This Maya is Sat Asat, isn't it? It is not only Asat. That is wonderful thing to understand. That our experience of the world is not totally Asat. Asat is also intermixed with Sat. Without that, illusion is not possible if there is no basis, there is no substratum where this illusion can be projected upon. Isn't it? Without rope, we cannot see snake. So rope has to be there. Rope is the reality. So they say Sat Chid Ananda is Brahma and Nama Rupa Sat Chid Ananda is Jagat. So this Sat Chid Ananda is required. Only Nama Rupa cannot be Jagat. So therefore, as this illusion, this ignorance is slowly dissipates, slowly diffuses, and this consciousness, this Brahman, this Chaitanya is projecting itself in its increasing glory, and that's how it translates into this Nishkama Bhava, Niswartha Bhava, and the reality of that individual, the perception of that reality, therefore the action and drives behind the actions, and whole this interaction, whole these transactions, whole this affair is then more and increasingly rooted and aligned into the Brahman, the truth, and less in ignorance. So, ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. So, how it is being renounced in God? So, this knowledge, this sense of God, that is important. Mai is important. Only sarvani karmani sanyasya, more important word here is mai. That is the most important word here. Without that, then it doesn't become bhakti. If it is just sarvani karmani sanyasya, mai and matparaha, that is that matpara, that is the God alone is the objective of all endeavors. Through all this, maybe the seemingly worldly duties, he is seeking nothing but God. Wife, children, family, relations, society, work, duties. So all things are there. He is discharging his duties, but seeking all through God only. He is not doing it for itself, or like as any person blinded by this ignorance, where materialism, this is real for that individual. So spirituality is completely obscured. So that is not the case here. Etu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara. Now when such a person, so that's how he is doing ananyena iva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. Through all these actions, this is how he is doing. he is meditating upon God, and he is establishing this Ananya Yoga. There is no difference. He is continuously, he is persistently, without break, he is Yoga Yukta. He is establishing this yoga. So such person, Adveshta Sarva Bhutana Maitra Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankara. So yes, these are the definite condition, or rather this should be the product of it. This should be the hallmark that this has to come. This mamatva bhava has to go. This ahanta has to go. Mamata and ahanta, they has to go. They reduce down to bare minimum. And as if it is completely smeared and deep drenched in that divine only. And slowly this is dissolving into that divine only. This mamata and ahanta. Nirmamo nirahankara. So sama dukkha sukha kshami. Now dukkha and sukha, therefore, they are from the worldly perspective. So where something, there is a reason for to be sukhi or dukhi. So his samatva is significant or denoting that his establishment into the truth, being yoga yukta, being in ananya yoga, and sukha dukkha parties of the world. So that's why he is able to maintain its neutrality or equipoise in this seemingly something joyous or sorrowful situations. Dukkha and sukha of the world, he is always maintaining this samatva, because he is practicing that, he is established into that practice of etu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara. So sama dukkha sukha, this quality, therefore the sukha is dukkha is the external part, samatva is the internal part. And last word here is kshami, that he become ever compassionate and all forgiving person, that he is not taking offense of anyone, howsoever in that context that person might be, even outright evil, but he has no way, no time, no mind, no scope to judge that person from this material or worldly perspective. He might be evil. He doesn't count anymore how he will harm him, what he will take away, or even it costs him his life. So this idea of life is also a very ignorant one, a very much ignorance. The idea of life that you are born and then you die, this is nothing but ignorance. That he is constantly dwelling on this idea of eternal Chaitanya, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So here comes the idea of birth and death. And this idea of all forgivingness sprouts, come forth, it ensues from this higher dimension of reality. That's why he developed this great disregard for anything of that apparent gain or loss of the world. It is now the kids' play. He is no more interested. It is foolish idea to engage, to entertain and take it seriously. It is too much for that individual to pay his mind, to pay any heed and attention to these paltry details, insignificant details. It is being too much to come down to that level. He is not sermonizing, patronizing, or seeing lowly to the other individual who might not be of that level. He is not even seeing that. He is not even seeing the faults. So his life, his heart, his presence is nothing but the blessings. Samadukha Sukha Kshami. The idea of Kshama sprouts from there. Because there is no judgment of someone as something good or evil. It is that all the play of the divine through Maya. So whom to judge, what to call right and what to call wrong? So when that proximity with the truth is realized to such an intensity that oneness is approached, and this experience that individual is happening, his ahankara, this knowledge of this limited self is dissolving into that one, then how to see one thing different from other? How to judge one thing better from other? Therefore, Samadukha Sukha Kshami. So this is the idea. So that absorption into that infinite is so great that the concerns of this limited self are but just dropping off by itself, and he is not making any effort to hold on to them. He is letting them go. Samadukha Sukha Kshami. Then next verse is Santushtah Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drudha Nishchayah Mayyarpita Manobuddhir Yo Madbhakta Same Priyah. Now that because of this idea, Santushtah, that he is no time to grieve about this unevenness of the life of the world. He is as if in that constant high, that absolute and pure, that unblemished, that bliss which is springing from within his heart like a fountain. He is drunk upon that. So why does he care about the world? Santushtah Satatam. There is no intervention. Satatam. Yogi. That person. This is the yoga. He is established in that. Santushtah Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drudha Nishchaya. This word shows Yata, Niyata, he has got the control over himself. Yatatma. His control has become perfect, matured. Meaning that now there is no more attempts, no more tries, no more deliberation. It has become his nature. yatatma drudha nishchaya. There is no scope of any confusion or of taking a decision one way or other. He is established in that flow, which is diving deep into that ocean of consciousness. Yatatma drudha nishchaya. And again, Bhagavan brings out that idea, Mayyarpita Manobuddhi. This Manonasha and Manolaya is happening. Mayyarpita Manobuddhi. That he more is not anymore engaged in this deliberation of the Sankalpa Vikalpa or Nishchaya, which are the functions of Mana and Buddhi. It is barely functioning, as much probably is required to just exist. Mayyarpita Mano Buddhi. Because it has developed this tendency to merge itself, to dissolve. It is more inclined now in that way to dissolve itself into that Brahman, into that divine form of his Ishta, Krishna, Rama, Shankara, anything, whatsoever it may be. So for a devotee, it can be Sagun Sakara form with which he must have started. He still calls it in that way. So that Krishna is the ocean of consciousness, in which this Buddhi and Mana is more inclined to dive into. So it is barely functioning. The functioning of the mind is Sankalpa Vikalpa. Sankalpa Vikalpatmak Manaha. So, and Nishchayatmika Buddhi. So, we engage it fiercely, very aggressively, when we have to decide and negotiate and interact with the world, and so many odds you are processing. There are the objectives, there are the desires which are to be fulfilled. Then there are limitations of the circumstances as well as your own. And that's why you are busy in sorting that equation out, how that you will meet the goal, etc., etc. But here that is not the case, because he has find that fountain, that spring of Satchidananda. It is opened up within. So that's why he is Santushta. So there are no desires. He is constantly established in that yoga, Santushta Satatam Yogi. Yatatma, he has achieved that control. He has become embodiment of that control, Yatatma. Now his senses, mind, and all his sanskaras, they are so well disciplined now. Now they no more seek the world. His Nishchaya is perfected. His resolution, his determination is perfected, is absolute. He has become the master. So such person, therefore, Mayyarpita Mano Buddhi. After controlling where that mind and intellect is functioning, it is only drawing towards its very natural and obvious goal, where all the bliss, all the joy lies, and where there is no presence of any sorrow. Atyantika Sukha Prapti and Atyantika Dukkha Nivrutti. Both are being achieved. So, Mayar Pita Mana Buddhi, and one who has attained this state, this class, this dimension, who has entered, the such devotee, yo mad bhaktaha, and such kind of devotee, Bhagavan says, he is dear to me. So, now God's qualification is very high and very superior. So, we might love God, but for Him to love us, and He has given some qualification, and they are very, very, very high. He has what to say God to, for Bhagavan to say that devotee is Priya or very beloved of me. So it has come in very close proximity to that divine. He is the constant object of his meditation and pursuit. That is these two verses. How a devotee becomes? By contemplating, meditating on the form of the divine. What does become of him? This is what becomes of him. So these two verses, they themselves are very, very great, very, very enthralling, uplifting our own mind to remind us that what is the object of the devotion, what is to be become a true devotee like. This is what these verses say. Now, continuing this idea further. Now, here this verse, again and again, they will point out to the state of mind. So, not only the state of the mind, it is not something to be imitated, but it is to be something that you become. This is not you something imitate. It is something that you have to arrive at. Nonetheless, they become the guiding margins for you to moderate yourself. So this next verse, if we see, then it again talks about some external behavioral pattern and internal experience of the individual. So here it says in now the 15th verse, Yasmanno dvijate loko lokanno dvijate cha yah harsha marsha bhayodvegair mukto yah sa cha me priyah. Again Bhagavan says, who is very dear to me, who is close to my heart, whom I love. Now that individual is of this character. Of what? Yasmat na udvijate lokaha. That from whom people are not irritated or agitated, udvijate. And similarly, lokat na udvijate chayah. Similarly, it is not that he is not the source of affliction, aggression, or creating any agitation among any soul on any being of the earth, but also he is not afflicted or agitated by behavior, by any kind of aggression of any soul on this earth. Lokat na udvijate yah. Lokat na udvijate chaya. So we are agitated, or so this thing is possible that you are not agitated by the behavior of the other people. Now that part is all right. I can understand. So that person has attained such state of the mind that he does not even count the behavior of the other people and constantly absorbed in that sublime bliss of the divine. So lokatna udvijate chayah. This is okay, we'll understand. It is understandable, all right. How is this possible that loka yasman no dvijate chayah? That nobody is agitated by him, irritated by him. So this is very difficult, that the people can hate anybody. Even God is there, people will also, if he takes incarnation, people will also abuse him. That is very much possible. Here idea is, it is not his deliberate action to do so, but by his natural presence, people can absolutely hate him and become completely agitated. In the life of all great individuals, we see that. Okay? Simply out of jealousy, they can be completely furious and be out of their bounds. That we can see. So, for which this individual has no role. But here meaning we can infer is this, that he does not take any state to cause this kind of affliction to any individual who is otherwise his own self. He is otherwise his own self. So he does not. So many times I have seen some people in society and they try to become very wise and smugly go on sermoning one person or other, and they are extremely irritating. Extremely irritating. So definitely, because we see that it is so blatant hypocritic, that what this person is sounding to be like is far away from it. And that's why we are not able to take them as they wish themselves to be taken. We are not agreeing. So, yasmanno dvijate chaya, yasmanno dvijate loko, lokanno dvijate chaya. Harsha, amarsha, harsha, amarsha, and bhaya udvega, bhayodvegaihi, muktaha. So these dualities of experiences. Harsha, that is when you become excited. Amarsha, that you become morose. Bhaya, you are scared. Or udvega, that you are extremely agitated. The person, because these all things are related to the experiences of the world, seemingly his prospects, as they are becoming one way or other, so he might feel harsha, that is that excitement, or amarsha, that moroseness, despondency, or bhaya, the feeling of fear, and then udvega, that something is not going his way, then he is very restless. Bhaya, if something he might lose. Amarsha, probably there is his proposal, or it is turned down, so he is despondent. Excited, then where he sees there is a hope. So harsha, amarsha, bhaya, udvega, muktaha, ya sachame priya. So this is the kind of individual, Bhagavan says, is beloved of me. I love such an individual. So this is the case of this verse number 15, where Bhagavan says, so earlier two verses, now this is like continuation of the similar idea. In another way, Bhagavan is putting this idea that what that individual, that devotee becomes by constant meditation upon him. Further, verse number 16. Anapekshah shuchir dakshah udasino gatavyatah sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhaktah same priyah. So this devotee, anapekshah, that he is not keeping any hopes upon anyone or anything. He is not desirous or expectant of any other thing from the world. He does not desire or expect one thing or other to be or not to be, or to go or not to go, turn or not to turn in one way or another. He does not now think and calculate in this fashion. Anapekshaha. Shuchir dakshaha. The shuchihi, that is, who is conscious of cleanliness, that he will not indulge into uncleanliness, or he would be naturally conscious of it. Shuchihi. Dakshaha, that is, who is careful, that is dakshaha. Udasinaha, that is he is not any more interested. That is udasinaha. Because there is absence of this harsha, amarsha, bhaya and uddeveka. So he has achieved that complete disregard of the worldly pursuit, its objective and its fruits. He is no more concerned with that. Udasinaha. Gatav vyataha. So vyatha is gataha, that all his pain and sorrow has now passed away. Gatav vyataha. This is how he becomes sarvarambha parityagi. That is, he does not necessarily initiate anything. He now, as long as he live in this body, by the force of prarabdha, as long as this body exists, he is just going along with it. He does not have any reason to begin, to commence, to start again any enterprise or any initiative. Sarva arambha parityagi. Sarva arambha, all kinds of beginnings, initiative, that he has perfectly given up. Sarva arambha parityagi. Because there is no such reason for him anymore. Sarva arambha parityagi. And the one who is such a devotee, and that person is dear to me. Same priyaha. So one who expects nothing from a person, from a thing, from a situation, from an event, to go one way or other, to turn one way or other, be there or not, Shuchi and Daksha, that he is careful, and by his own sanskaras, he is not indulging into anything which is tarnishing or blemishing him. He has perfected himself, yatatma. He has become udasina, that he is no more interested in any pursuits or the results thereof of this world. And thus he has passed all these pains, all this sorrow, all these sufferings of this world. Gatavyataha. Sarva arambha parityagi. That he does not therefore initiate anything, because there is no reason as such for him to do. So sarva arambha parityagi, and such is the devotee who is dear to me. This is what Bhagavan says, verse number 16. Then again, Bhagavan now in these verses reiterating again and again this idea to bring back that truth, as if to meditate on that same idea again and again and again. So verse number 17. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kangshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktiman ya same priyaha. So he is not excited, hrishyati, with something. And neither he is hateful towards anything, na dveshti. He does not mourn anything, na shochati, and does not desire anything, na kangshati. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kangshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktiman yah same priyaha. Shubha and ashubha parityagi. He does not believe in these ideas these smaller ideas, because he sees divine everywhere. He is establishing, he is experiencing that joy. He is constantly sipping that nectar from this Satchidananda Namarupa. He is only drinking that nectar called Satchidananda, leaving aside the Namarupa. And therefore, so these ideas are redundant, irrelevant for him. Shubha Shubha. Therefore, Parityagi, therefore perfectly given up. And such Bhaktiman, because this individual, when he is not desiring anything, so what is he doing? Where is his mind and heart and his intellect? Mayarpita Manobuddhi. That it is as if offered, it is diving towards that ocean of consciousness called God. And such, this is the nature of devotion. It has come to full maturity. And such Bhaktiman, the person who is endowed with such kind of bhakti, and he is dear to me. So there are now couple of verses simply carrying forward this idea. So which we can take in the next class. Next 15th there will not be class. So 15 and say 22. क्या 14th? 14 तारीख को होगा. So 14 and then 21. 21 को क्लास होगा, 14 को क्लास नहीं होगा. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम तत्सत्. श्री रामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.